Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. A significant severe weather outbreak is likely today, with all severe weather hazards possible, especially across the Midwest. We'll get into those details. And then additional rounds of severe weather are possible throughout this upcoming week in waves. And then we'll preview your Mother's Day weekend. Does the active weather continue? We'll answer that question later on in today's video. But going back to yesterday, it was a very busy day. In fact, we had 12 tornado reports, and I do think this number could grow, but we did have tornadoes reported up into South Dakota, portions of Minnesota, Nebraska, and a prolific tornado producer up here into northern portions of Missouri that had a tornado on the ground for quite some time yesterday evening. We also had 35 wind reports, 80 hail reports, with 17 of those being over 2 inches in diameter, for a total of 127 severe weather reports going back to your Saturday, May 6th. But as we go into today, May 7th, on your Sunday, we have that warm front moving farther to the north in the deep warm sector with this system. And you can see that reflected on the temperatures this morning. To the south of the warm frontal boundary, temperatures are into the low and middle 70s across the Missouri Valley and getting down into the deep south this morning. And that is a higher springboard of which to start. So temperatures will be rising very quickly into the middle 90s, especially into portions of Kansas, western Oklahoma, into the Texas Panhandle, West Texas. Those areas are very dry, so I do expect the middle, maybe even upper 90s for high temperatures later on today. But the 80-degree line goes all the way up toward Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, up here toward the Dubuque, Iowa region as we go through this afternoon. So definitely a deep warm sector with today's system. And in fact, the severe weather potential is highest up across the Midwest, where we have that enhanced risk zone in the orange. That's a level 3 of 5 on the scale, and that does include eastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, northern Missouri, central and southern Iowa, as well as parts of northwestern Illinois, with the slight risk in the yellow just west of the Chicago metro area. And we also have a slight risk down into northwest Texas, getting up near the Red River into southwestern Oklahoma as well. But if you guys do like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics, now is the time to press the subscribe button down below. I definitely appreciate it. And it's also very helpful to press the like button as well. The more likes we get, the more people that are informed about today's severe weather and the severe weather moving forward. So I definitely appreciate all the likes out there. But going through today, we have a deep warm sector, so that means the instability values will be climbing very high. We have 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram of energy surging all the way up into the Midwest here, just along and south of this warm front, and that will feed into some significant wind as we go through today. We have a significant 30% hatched area of wind of hurricane force potentially up near the Omaha region, Kansas City, and just near the Des Moines region, and another 15% hatched risk for 75-mile-per-hour or greater type of winds down into northwest Texas and southwestern Oklahoma. This does include the Wichita Falls area and near and west of the Fort Worth area as well. And both of those zones are in play for some significant hail that could be over 2 inches in diameter, especially into central and western Iowa, getting into eastern Nebraska, and then as well down here into northwest Texas into southwestern Oklahoma. And then the tornado risk is highest across central Iowa, really centered around the Des Moines region, with a 5% shading of tornadoes across that area. But the tornado risk does extend down into northeastern Kansas, around the Kansas City region there, into northwestern Missouri as well. So that will be something to keep an eye on. So timing out the northern branch of the severe weather, this is noon time frame. The mesoscale convective system that we did see form yesterday is pushing across the lower Ohio into the Tennessee River Valley. Back to the west, we are seeing a couple supercells trying to develop across northern Iowa toward the noon time frame. Those will struggle at first because we do have some capping concerns with the warm sector of this system. It's a shallow, warm layer aloft that really prevents a lot of these thunderstorms from forming. But once that breaks, these storms could produce some big hail. And we could have some stronger storms downstate Illinois into western Kentucky for some gusty winds and some medium-sized hail, probably sub-severe hail down across those areas. But watch as we get through the late evening and overnight hours. This is midnight, guys. This is well after dark, and we have explosive thunderstorm development all across Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, getting into northern portions portions of Indiana and southwestern lower Michigan. All of these storms could be capable of producing severe criteria winds, also some damaging hail, and a couple of tornadoes, and that will persist from west to east across the Midwest. And you do see this backward C shape. This does suggest a potential for a bow echo or an intense MCS complex pushing across Iowa and Missouri into Illinois during the morning hours on your Monday. So watch out for some damaging straight line winds across the Chicagoland area down here toward the Champaign-Urbana region and Springfield, Illinois as well through your 6 a.m. time frame if you're heading off for work or school on your Monday morning. This also will be producing some very heavy rain, so make no mistake about it. If you get caught under multiple rounds of storms, we could be seeing 1 to 4 inches of rain in the highest amounts, especially into central and southern Illinois, getting into southwestern Indiana with the heaviest of the rains through your Tuesday morning. And that is where we have that marginal, especially into the slight risk for flash flooding, especially into eastern Iowa and the northern parts of Illinois going through your Monday morning commute. And then down here to the south, the southern branch of the severe storms. Noon time frame, very quiet. Couple showers over here in toward the Little Rock region and toward Memphis. Maybe a shower or two across the Rio Grande Valley. Very quiet through much of the morning into the early afternoon. But by the time we get toward late afternoon, early evening, this is your 6 o'clock time frame, getting ready for dinner. We're going to be seeing some storms popping up across West Texas here, maybe a couple of storms into southern Arkansas and northern portions of Louisiana. These storms could become severe with some damaging hail, some also damaging winds, maybe a tornado, but I think the damaging winds and hail will be the primary risk with these storms as they press from west to east across the DFW Metroplex, again, well after dark toward the midnight time frame. And then by the time we wake up for work or school on Monday morning, all of these storms should be fading out and we'll see some clearing skies back to the west across West Texas toward your Monday morning time frame. But if you get under a couple of these storms, again, not everybody will be seeing a lot of heavy rain, but if you get caught under a storm or two, there could be 1 to 2 inches of rain there, and then down the street, you could only have maybe a tenth to a quarter of an inch of rain. So definitely some sporadic heavy rainfall. So not everybody will see this, but if you do get caught under one of those storms, they will be efficient rainfall producers, and the same thing holds true over here into southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. And then we do it all over again on Monday. That stationary boundaries setting up across the Ohio River Valley. So yet again, right along the Ohio River Valley to the Tennessee Valley, we have another threat for severe storms extending back down into North Texas, Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas, with the highest chance of severe weather in this yellow shaded color. That's a level 2 of 5, a slight risk across southern parts of Missouri into downstate Illinois. Again, this will mainly be for damaging winds and large hail, but I cannot rule out the potential of a couple of tornadoes, especially across Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, or Kentucky going through your Monday afternoon or evening. So timing this out, noon time frame, we got a mesoscale convective system ongoing for your Monday morning into the early afternoon. That will be diving to the southeast toward the Music City here in Nashville and then getting down into middle Tennessee around the mid-afternoon hours. But upstream, we're seeing some explosive thunderstorm development. Again, another Cape-filled environment with a lot of convective available potential energy. And these storms will fire off right along that stationary boundary I was showing you late Monday afternoon into the early evening. Big hailers, big wind producers up here, maybe a tornado or two, and then this will form into another mesoscale convective system overnight Monday into Tuesday morning as it drops toward the Memphis region, toward Jackson, Tennessee, and the Nashville region and through Kentucky through your Tuesday morning commute. And then, oh yeah, on Tuesday, we got another chance for severe storms across the southern plains. We do it all over again with another slight risk for severe storms, this time across southern Kansas, getting into northwestern portions of Oklahoma and extreme northeastern Texas panhandle as well, with marginal risk up here in the northern plains and off into the Carolinas as well on Tuesday. And you can see that we got a mesoscale convective system again firing up right along that stationary boundary as we go across Kansas into Missouri into portions there of Oklahoma, with a couple supercells trying to fire up into West Texas, into the Texas panhandle as we go through the Tuesday afternoon and evening time frame. But all told, all the way through middle of next week or this week, we have the potential for several inches of rain Across the Ohio Valley, getting into the Tennessee Valley, the heaviest of the rains from eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, down into portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. We will have some heavy rain in areas that do need it the most across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, but the heaviest through the middle of the week will be over into these areas, into the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley. But as we go toward the middle of next week, we got another trough we're keeping an eye on, and again, we have to watch this pattern because the upper level ridge will remain locked in place eastern two-thirds of the country during the late portion of next week. And as this trough begins to interact with a lot of this warm and moist air, we will be seeing a clash of air masses and some more severe storms. So your dew point temperatures on Wednesday will be climbing back into the 60s as far north as South Dakota and Nebraska. And then that actually gets a little bit stronger with some of the moisture return and an impressive dry line setup across the western Great Plains on Thursday for a classic severe weather setup. And already 5 days out, the Storm Prediction Center is confident enough to put a slight risk for severe storms. It's a level 2 of 5 on the scale for Thursday, May 11th. Across the North Platte area there into western Nebraska, extreme northeastern Colorado, getting into western Kansas, the Goodland area down to Dodge City, as well as the panhandle of Oklahoma to western Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas down toward the Lubbock and Amarillo area. So definitely be watching this as we get toward later on this week. This area could expand or be upgraded as we get closer, so we'll be monitoring that. But looking at Thursday morning, we got a low pressure system developing on the front range of the Rockies. Just some general rain showers to the north across Wyoming and the western Dakotas, and as well as some garden variety type storms across East Texas on up there into the Arklatex. But a squall line of storms with supercells initially turning to a squall line Thursday evening, Thursday night across Nebraska, getting into Kansas and western Oklahoma with a couple supercells trailing down that line into northwest Texas as well. That continues into Friday morning. And then we're just left with some rain showers up here across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Ohio Valley, getting in toward your Friday morning commute. But going through this weekend, this upcoming weekend is actually Mother's Day weekend, so definitely looking forward to that. And we have above normal temperatures, especially likely across the Pacific Northwest, the northern plains, and then diving across the eastern two-thirds of the country. We will be slightly below normal down here to New Mexico and especially West Texas, where we do expect some unsettled weather. But in general, looking at your high temperatures on Saturday, May 13th, temperatures again 70s and 80s, maybe some 90s showing up into Florida there, Georgia, into the Carolinas. And then going into Saturday night, very mild temperatures will be in the 60s and 70s down here across the majority of the eastern two-thirds of the country for overnight lows. And then waking up on your Sunday into the afternoon, we will be warming up nicely into the 80s all across the eastern two-thirds of the country, with mid-90s possible across southern Georgia into the Carolinas and possibly even North Florida during your Mother's Day time frame into the afternoon. We also see some active weather, so more active weather will continue with the southern branch of the jet stream, the subtropical jet, remaining active. So we do see these green anomalies showing up, likely if not expected to be above normal across portions of the desert Southwest into the southern plains, and will be drying out across the Pacific Northwest going through that Tuesday, May 16th time frame. And you see where the heavy rains are. We do have some heavy rains possible from the upper Midwest down through the Ohio Valley. We may have to watch for a couple severe storms with this getting in toward the Mother's Day weekend time frame, but the real heavy rain is down here across southeastern New Mexico into central Texas. These areas could be seeing multiple rounds of heavy rain and some steady rains. Definitely helpful for the drought out here across portions of West Texas, but flash flooding could be a concern. So we'll watch this going ahead toward Mother's Day weekend. Some areas could see up to half a foot of rain, up to 6 inches of rain across northwest Texas through that time frame. But like I mentioned, it is good for the drought. Hopefully we can get more rain up here into western Kansas, where we really need it desperately with the exceptional drought, but definitely helping out, putting a big dent in the drought across West Texas with that rainfall coming for the upcoming weekend, even though unfortunately it coincides with Mother's Day with the rainfall. I know everybody wants to be outside, but the rainfall does continue all the way through that following weekend, going through Saturday, May 20th. Active weather across the monsoonal areas here in the desert southwest, and the southern plains, the southeast, will be drying out yet again across the northern United States into the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes, going through that third week there into May. Well, if you want additional weather forecast updates, including this channel, definitely press the description down below and follow me on Twitter at hweather420. I definitely appreciate it. Otherwise, thank you for watching my videos and supporting this channel each and every morning. I definitely appreciate that as well. Make sure to press the like button down below, helping out, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. And also make sure to hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great weekend, everybody. A great rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you all in the next video.